let me get my tennis ball here. Alright, what is good? Fucked up my chair a little bit there. What is good? What is good, people? Another day, another video. We are on schedule, man. We are finally on schedule now. I've had multiple videos that were kind of off schedule, but now we're getting back on schedule. So, beautiful California day here. Today, we'll talk about the game of musical chairs ending and the sheer amount of single people in general, but like women most affected, right? As you know, if you follow this kind of content. So I'm at the point now where, like, I'm 24, where the musical chairs are starting to end, and I didn't know about a lot of this kind of thing in terms of like dating market and all that, because to be 100% honest, I was just focused on like finding like ways to make money and not like, I don't want to say be a slave, because that's like pretty strong language, but just like trying to understand the monetary system and also try to find a way to make money, like where my life wouldn't be like shitty, basically, to put it nicely. So that was what I was spending most of my time on for like since I was end of high school, like when we started applying for colleges and stuff. I don't know how big that was for you guys, but that was like a big thing. And I was like in all these advanced classes and all this crap. Like I did International Baccalaureate program. I don't know if you guys know that program, but it's like supposed to get you super college ready and ready for a successful life and all this stuff. And I was doing that in my last couple of years of high school. So like among that peer group, college was freaking hugely important. Like I wasn't personally, because I kind of thought it was BS, but I didn't have the stats to back it up and the words for it. And my parents were like, they were all over that stuff. So I didn't, and I was young at that point, so I didn't really have the, like, I guess, worldly knowledge and just background to like say, hey, let me like take it slower here. Yeah. And funny enough, like I don't even know if my parents did either, but yeah. So so within that community, most of us, a lot of us, are about colleges, and here in California, it's like UCs are thought of as like, oh, you're really doing well if you went to a UC. Ivy Leagues are like, dang, you're like a genius if you make it to Ivy Leagues, which a couple, I believe, of our students did. Like we had our one valedictorian go to an Ivy League, and I think another person went to an Ivy League. Among that like cohort, like that the IB class of that year. Yeah, so that was a big deal. And I wasn't even aware of like this dating market shit, to be honest. Like that, I was only aware of that until like basically this past year, in terms of like when COVID happened and we were just all sitting inside, like basically analyzing what happened. Like I feel like a lot of people, that was a moment of like starting to reflect. But yeah, so a year and a couple months ago, basically a year and maybe a few months ago, was when I started looking at, okay, and that was when I got out of school too. So at that point, I was like, okay, now let me like even get into the dating market, right? Because I wasn't really, like, there were a couple of girlfriends that kind of came along, but it wasn't really like, it wasn't serious as like I kind of thought it was, to be honest, but it wasn't I mean, I kind of hoped it was, but I figured it probably wasn't because I could just see the future. I'm like, okay, so our paths are gonna diverge, and there's like, unless we do a lot, like, and then for both situations, both of us didn't even know like where our futures would be going, and we both kind of came up in that super like academic setting, so we were still trying to like say, okay, like what jobs are we gonna get, like what what degrees are we gonna get, and then we both had gripes about maybe this isn't really the right way to go, maybe we should be doing something else. Those paths, the funny thing is, we were like, when I feel like when you meet someone early, it's just without even knowing it, your what's it called, like personalities and attitudes might kind of be aligned, at least like if you're smart, right? There are a bunch of people who just jump into like relationships without even like really thinking about it at all, like just because other people around them are doing it. But for like quote unquote smart people, or whatever you want to call it, or more cautious people, more conservative people maybe, I feel like those first kind of relationships are, it's like you kind of are compatible without really realizing it, just because like your brain's doing calculations in the background probably. Like, so I didn't even realize it, but like now when I'm seeing like how both of our lives turned out up to this point, it's like, okay, so we were really similar, and if it weren't for like all this other basically like weird stuff going on in terms of like, we probably were both not in the same profession that we're both probably not in the profession that we should have been, and then like we kind of split up after that, then like COVID happened and stuff like that. So if it weren't for all those like weird other circumstances, like we kind of see life the same way, honestly. So like that's kind of a tragedy. Stuff like that doesn't work out, but it is what it is. Like, and then after COVID, she like downloaded Tinder and did all this richer stuff. Like she was telling me to do that. I was like, wait, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like I'm a country boy. She's like a suburb girl, I guess, like more of almost a city person, but I'm like a country boy, so I can't, like that Tinder stuff, I can't really do that. It's like for city folk. But basically, okay, so yeah, now like I say all that to say like the game of musical chairs has ended, so, or is ending, for like people my age. And when you see those numbers about, oh, 40% of women are single, like 40 plus percent, almost like 50 now. But they said by 2030 it's going to be over 50%. And that's of women 25 to like 40 something, like prime working age years basically. And I'm almost in that group. I'm 24, so there's like 5 more months basically until I get to that group. And I can literally see this happening in real time, like, because I'm thinking about all the stuff that occurred like prior to me even getting like red pilled, quote unquote. Rilo Tomasi says that isn't a verb, so just prior to me understanding the concepts of the red pill, or whatever you want to call it, I was like just witnessing all that stuff prior, and now understanding what happens later, like what people really value and stuff, and like all this, the inflated currency and all this stuff, I can just see those numbers are gonna be true probably. Like those numbers are probably gonna be true, just viewing it from like that perspective of, okay, wait, so this is how, because now I know about kind of how the money stuff works, so I'm like, so this is how the money stuff works, this is how this is how people value stuff, this is how like basically things kind of like this is how like home purchasing like works, just all these different factors to where now I'm like when I look at those numbers, it's not weird to me anymore. Prior to me getting involved in all that, like this Red Pill stuff, like when I looked at numbers like this, it kind of seemed far off to me, and I was like, that's kind of doesn't seem like it would be legit. But now I kind of get it. Like, just because, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far into it, but like, yeah, I kind of get it now. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, what else? What else to say? Early morning video here. But yeah, 40 to 50%, that's like kind of crazy to me. And like it's happening in real time. So to be honest, there's a lot of implications about that that's going to be kind of shitty. So, like I say, you want to be a producer. And one of the commenters was saying how he like Rodent's Revenge actually, he was like, I feel like I get punished for producing. And that's actually probably going to continue, to be honest. Because, let's just say, in a type of economy where like most people are single and don't have families or anything like that, there's the incentive for production is like very low in more ways than one, because there needs to be a like hope for the future in order to produce stuff, and if there's not, then there's no incentive to understand anything enough to like produce new of it, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of different factors that go into trying to produce something, and one of those is like a positive hope for the future, and another is like just incentives. Yeah, and like I don't want to get too far into that, but yeah, what what else can I say here? Unscripted, unscripted. Yeah. I guess overall, to be 100% honest, like I'm still like shocked. So I'm learning about this each day, to be 100% honest with you. And I'm still like kind of surprised at how kind of like dumb like this isn't, like this is definitely not thought about logically. And I'm like, okay, because all this stuff makes sense to me now. Because when I was in school, I was like trying to start this, trying to start that, like trying to get people to join me to start like working on new ideas and stuff like that. And I thought that was average. Like I thought it was America, right? So I thought everyone's gonna end up starting their own business. Everybody is gonna end up trying to produce stuff for society. Like we are gonna be the producers and the people, like when we get older, we're gonna be like that cohort that like people, I don't know, they're like they're like, oh, he created that, he did that. And among my peers, I was like, hey, we're gonna be these guys, so let's let's just start now. Let's like try to do some cool shit. But then no one was really like fucking with me on it. Like people were kinda, but then like when it came down to it, people didn't really want to do it. And then I was like, I was confused at the time. Like maybe I'm kind of slow, but like I was confused. I was like, why is there no motivation to do anything new at all? Like there was no motivation to do anything new. And then I learned about like this dating market crap. And then to be honest, I was kind of like not part of it, so I didn't even really know how like shitty that was until like recent. And if like people were dealing with this for a long time, like dang, so no wonder like they're not motivated to do anything new. And why they're just doing old shit basically. Like even like among my friend group, like a lot of them are just doing old shit. And then this money stuff where people took out a shit ton of loans, like now they're basically slaves, or like they're pretty much slaves. Like I was kind of fortunate enough that my, actually to be honest, I'll tell you the story about that, but even I was like telling to my parents, I was like, wait, this is stupid. But then they didn't, like they just thought it was normal. I was like, wait, this isn't normal at all. Like this is weird. But they said, hey, like that's what other people are doing. I was like, dang, fuck that. Like, so for me, I'm fortunate enough that, or I guess to be honest, fortunate enough that I'm the one that said I probably shouldn't do this, and then my parents said I should. So then, like, so then when I want to leave and do something else, like it, I guess I'm fortunate that I didn't get too far down that path. I think is what I'm kind of like glad about now. Like I'm glad I left when I did, because I don't know, like I don't really like the concept of slavery, and like so many things make a lot of sense when you start looking at like money creation and shit like that. So I'm just glad like I dipped out of that stuff, and I just learned about what I learned about, because like I can't even imagine, like I don't even really want to imagine still going down that path. And then a lot of my friends are doing that, and now they have like no time to think about any new ideas or anything like that. So yeah, I don't really like that lifestyle. And then that goes into the whole dating market too. Like 40% of like women single, but like even dudes, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be over, because like that's how it is now, and it's going up as the years go by. That's nuts. Like so, imagine over 50%. That means if you have a classroom, more than half of them are gonna be from like broken families and stuff. If if they even have families, right? Yeah, like, see, I'm not even good at talking about all that kind of market bullshit. Like, I'd rather talk about building new shit and moving forward with like, I don't know, doing something. But see, when you have these kind of numbers, the whole mass, like the general mindset can't won't get past like won't get past dating market shit. Like that's why you see all these like dating coaches and all this bullshit. Like they're getting so many views and subscribers on things like YouTube and even like other apps, who, to be honest, like one commenter said basically everything is like a dating app now. And that is true. Like literally you go to university. I kind of realized it when I was there, but I didn't really take it to heart too much, because I was like focused on trying to build new shit. But basically, like most people in university are women, and they're looking like to get like essentially to capture a dude who's like gonna do a well-paying job. Like that's basically, that is university. University used to be, like I had this in a video like a while back where I was talking about how university won't matter nearly as much. And that's because like university used to be where people would like get together and like say, okay, this is like how shit works, like how are we gonna do new shit. But at this point now, like it's just not, and that's what I went to university thinking. I was like, let's let's do all this new shit. Like there's so much shit to do. like, well, let's get started. But then, like, there were so few people focused on that, like, because the majority was women, right? So I was like trying to get, that was before I knew too much about like human nature and all that stuff. And I knew about human nature in terms of like the bare bones basics, but then I was like, okay, we have this society built on top of it, and now like people are gonna think differently. Like people, like, just because it's how our society is now, so everyone, like, but I feel like I probably adapted like too well to it, to be honest. Like, maybe it's survivor bias, 'cause, like, the stuff I kind of want to do is working now, so I could say, oh, like, maybe I adapted too well, or like, I don't know, maybe I was too slow or something. I have no idea, like but basically I didn't realize that like the majority of those chicks, like basically all of them, like none of them thought like a dude in terms of like, oh, like, how are we gonna do new shit, like, let's do something. Like, they were looking at me as if like I'm gonna like marry him or something, and I was like, dude, wait, like, I can't, like, you're like, and these people are professionals too. That's the thing, like, you're gonna have professionals that like no marriage or anything like that. That's crazy, man. Like, over 50%. Like, I'm seeing it like in my Facebook news feed daily. Like these, because who's gonna, they're not gonna get together with anybody. A lot of these chicks are making six figures. Most of these dudes are making six figures. Like, and they don't even want to make six figures, right? Like, dang, yeah. Like a dude would rather build new shit. Like, when it comes down to it, even the smart ones too. Even like the smart ones would rather build new shit, and like the like not as smart ones would still rather build new shit. But then also, like, I mean, like, but then there's also other shit that comes along with, like, I mean, they still want to build new shit. Like, to be honest, like, I don't know how else to. I don't want to. That's just how I'll say it. With an unscripted like way of saying it, I guess. But yeah, that was pretty much a ramble. But I'll leave it there. It is what it is. The musical chairs are ending though. Like, yeah, and like these numbers are just gonna keep getting worse. I can't even imagine that. But, like, okay, that's a video for today. Y'all, like, I'll say more tomorrow. But like, comment, and subscribe. Do what you gotta do. I'll probably post like some of the cool channels I'm looking at in the description. But yeah, hopefully, like, that unscripted. Not every video is perfect, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's was just what I was thinking. And I'm just posting that video to keep the numbers going up and see what we can do here. But yeah, I don't know. There it is. We'll see if I post it. Maybe I won't. Like, maybe if I listen back and it's shitty or too long, like, I won't post it. But yeah, authentic, real name, no gimmicks. Alright, cool. Peace out.